3D. I often would get headaches watching 3D, and we had an amazing team led by a stereographer named Corey Turner, who had worked on a lot of movies. And he wanted to try some things that he had not had a chance to do before, including finding ways to minimize some of the eye strain that can happen. And also because we shot nearly a quarter of the film in IMAX, which is a huge format. The resolution of the image is extraordinary. And that plus the 3D and these new techniques, I think, makes for a pretty cool visual experience. I'm very excited to be working on Star Trek. I was never a Star Trek fan growing up, but I've come to love it. I'm very excited to be working in the Star Wars universe. I was a huge fan of that series since I was 11 years old. We're just getting started on that, so obviously I can't really talk about Star Wars at all, except to say that everyone involved is really pretty inspiring. But I will say that it will be an incredibly tough act to follow after working with these people and the crew and the rest of the cast on Star Trek. We were incredibly blessed, all of us, to work together. And it was one of the main reasons I wanted to come back originally, was to get to work with these people again. And then have the experience be as challenging, because the movie is so big, and yet I think very emotional and funny. And to get to work with these people and learn all of us from each other was really an incredible treat.
Because it's such a well-constructed universe already. I mean, to imagine the future, if you try and do that, is a very difficult thing to do. And I think the detail with which Gene Roddenberry did it is kind of mind-blowing. So I learned a lot from that. I also learned a lot from working with JJ, whose energy continues throughout the day, however late you're working. And also it's nice to feel part of a group of people. You know, we've gone around the world on this tour with this film and shared it with people, and that's been a very special experience for me. And then the second...
I've learned a great deal from Jim Kirk. I enjoy his spirit of adventure and the fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve for the most part. You know, his strengths are his weaknesses, unfortunately. You know, if he's angry, he is really angry. If he's sad, he's going to be really sad. He's a confrontational man, and I appreciate that about him. But I also think it's that impulsiveness and that lack of a censor that can get him in trouble a lot. And the great fun for me in this film is that in the first, I got to play this character that was so self-assured and so confident, and so very much what I thought to be a born leader, but a man that really had to get in touch with himself a lot more. In this film, in the first 15 minutes, you find him kind of struck down to ground zero, broken apart, a man whose self-assuredness is replaced by an incredible amount of self-doubt, and that kind of existential crisis he finds himself in is, if he's good enough, can I do this? Was I born to be a leader? Am I a good enough captain? I thought the real challenge and the beauty of playing this character is that he was a weak hero. To have a weak hero try to lead these men and women into battle, grasping at straws, really was very exciting for me.
Together, and there are a lot of characters who represent a lot of cultures and a lot of people. And I will say the thing that you won't say, which is that as the one character who sort of represents people of Latin descent, I will say that, you know, Zoe is brilliant, beautiful, and badass. And she's incredible to work with and represents, I think, humanity beautifully. I would say in terms of the Star Trek, the third film, we're, you know, having sort of casual conversations about what a third film would be, but there haven't been no formal conversations. And if there is a third one, depending on the timing of, my guess is that I would be involved as a producer and likely not the director, but all of us involved really have come to love this group of people and this world. And I care too much about it that I would ever not be involved in it. But it's something that the great thing about this Star Trek series is the possibilities are essentially limitless of what can happen. So there are huge and wonderful adventures ahead for this group. I'm confident.
the importance of family. I think Gene Roddenberry made an eclectic family, as Zoe was saying, comprised of all different cultures on the Enterprise, which at the time was groundbreaking. And I think that was very important in itself. And then I think JJ picks that up and makes us all become human beings that have feelings and that matter to each other. And I think that those journeys are the journeys that connect to the people. And, you know, I cried 3 times when I first saw the film. So there's definitely a huge element of love in the story. I think it's a very important part of the story, is love, and which direction does your love go. And I enjoyed playing that part of it very much. That as an actor is the most rewarding.
Things when they work together. Even though this is called Star Trek Into Darkness, there is, you know, my character at the end has a moment that I hope is not too didactic, but it is definitely food for thought for people that have experienced pain and have experienced evil and wanted to seek revenge and have had that bloodthirst. Unfortunately, we live in a world today where we face terrorism, we face people that inflict this kind of psychological terror, this kind of physical terror upon us. And all these very human feelings of wanting to seek revenge, they're kind of metastasized in this very strong individual who is John Harrison. He's very much the dark side. And I think this story, even though it takes place in the future, is so very earthbound. It so very much brings up the salient issues of our time right now. And it presents us with a choice of 2 different paths to go down. And I think the great thing about Star Trek, and what we say at the end about the 5-year mission, is it's not to go out and seek violence, to seek conflict, to seek divisiveness, to seek those things which break us apart. It's to explore and to find new life and to find new civilizations. And there is something within that I hope we speak to, I hope sets us apart from other films in this genre. If people want to call it naive or hopeful or earnest or whatever, I have no problem with it, because I think it is a lesson. It's a version of what our world can be. It's always wonderful to hear, because unfortunately we always seem to be wanting to tear each other apart for myriad reasons, everything from creed, color, and race, and sexuality onward. And I think Roddenberry's vision of the hope is very much a part of this.